No.
I'm not going to put it on you. You guys are live, so you could talk. Well, you're going to be live on the radio in a moment. But Austin and Jim, say hi to the people.
Hello, live. Glad you guys joined us this week. We got an interesting interview. My right ear is clogged, so if I sound a little weird.
And you sound a little soft, up more.
Okay.
What they say, up the volume a little bit.
I don't want to yell on accident, but
that's okay. It ain't get going. Once
you. Amen. Great game yesterday. We lost, but
quit talking that stuff about it was a great game.
Tomorrow, this week will be a lot of information. Stay tuned. Keep it locked and loaded here. Legendary 1080 mix power 96.5. That's in radio.
I'm gonna be nice to the preacher. I don't know if he calls himself a bishop now or overseer.
So turn to the pages of the shepherd's guide for the service you're looking for. Pick it up, the shepherd's guide. Send us up in the shepherd's guide. Call us up, see why we say it's the Christian's choice of yellow pages.
To advertise and receive your free copy, call 716-688-3882.
Serving Orchard Park, Lackawanna, Cheektowaga, Amherst, Buffalo. We are the legendary Mix 1080, WUFO, and Power 96.5.
Locally, nationally, it's Conversation with Jim Anderson. And now, your host, Jim Anderson.
Turn off the TV to avoid.
Hey, Buffalo, Western New York, and points beyond. Welcome to Conversation with Jim Anderson. We look. I don't have to tell you, it's like medicine over there, and if you take it, we're going to get well. Just know we're going to get well. And I'm not here by myself. You know that. Yeah. None other than Austin Martin is here with me. He's going to talk soon. I'm just rattling off. I grabbed the mic and everything. But listen, we have Chairwoman April Baskin in from the county legislature, and we're going to be talking about the formal stadium committee discussion, I think, that they had on the 5th, and she will be joining us when she arrives. Just want to let you know she'll be here. If you want to join the conversation, the number to call is 716-837-1112. And look, this is a continuation of Stadium Agreements Matter. And I'm giving a little peek card to where I'm coming from today, because they had the hearing, they had the discussion, they had the formal meeting. I'm gonna call it a hearing discussion, but they had it. And listen, yes, Chairwoman Baskin was definitely always on point, has been on point. And before we went on air, I was just thinking, three voices that have come across the airways that I know of that have spoken on this issue. And those have been the mighty Oba, Patrick Freeman, Frank Daniels, who is a contractor, not only organizer, but has an organization, and the county legislature leader, Chairwoman April Baskin. Three voices. But I'm a little upset because there have been people out there talking about this stadium thing and jobs connection, and I'm wondering who they're talking to. And who else done heard them? For the past few weeks, I've been saying, if you heard them and what they offered, please share it and update me. I've tried to get them to update themselves and come talk to all of us so we can hear what exactly are they doing. I know Reverend Blue was doing something with primers, but I'm a little annoyed about that, because I'm like, we know that if you take the primers that I guess he's been hosting and they hire you as an employer, they undercut you from being the primer yourself on the contract. So I'm just wondering why you're doing that. And if that's not the city's plan to do it, not the city, but I want to say the county plan, I'm wondering, is he voluntarily doing that, or is there a payroll? Is somebody hired people to do stuff? I mean, I even saw a post where Council Member Wyatt had talking about jobs at the stadium at his meeting. And the reason I'm raising this up, I don't want to put shade on him, but I do want to put a whole bunch of shade on him because I think anything that's going on around the stadium should everybody ears. We should all be knowing what exactly is doing and who's doing what, especially when you're talking about jobs. And we're talking about $400 million, and we don't need these folks pulling. I don't know what they're pulling. I ain't gonna say that. I'll leave it out there. I don't know if they're pulling a good wagon or a bad wagon, but I think it's awful bad that they haven't come across the airwaves to talk loud and often about what it is. You know, contracts are already moving, jobs are already being hooked up, but they're not coming down the track of where the contractors that we've been talking to. I don't know. I hope somebody that's with them will do it, and I hope folks like Larry Stitt, who was on the committee, and I already mentioned Reverend Blue, Black Chamber of Commerce, Richard Cummings, and Richard Cummings' son with his businesses on there. I'm just saying, y'all who are on that, we need to hear your voices and exactly what are you doing at the meeting. Personally, I felt like they made a misstep because after they introduced the folks who were going to be on this committee and had them say a couple of words, and none of them seemed to speak on target. I was a little disappointed in that part on them, but the other part that really disappointed me about them is that the second part of the meeting was actually going to have the representatives on the bill side report out and give an update and so forth. And everybody was invited to stay. I stayed, but what surprised me, so many of those who were on the committee left. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, you just been seated. Here I'm about to hear a report and you leaving. Anyway, I don't know. But I know that my read don't have to be the right read, but that's an honest report, y'all. I'm giving you what I know and what I saw. And yes, I do think some people that are on the committee are questionable. I'm not saying anything about the choosers, but I'm just saying what I know, and I bet what the rest of you know. I know y'all leave me out to talk about myself, but I don't mind telling because I'm telling the truth. And if I'm wrong, I invite anybody to come and point out, here's where you were in error, Brother Jim. And anyway, you know, I love you all, and I'm just doing what I have to do. And people in the community see me and ask me, and they share a bunch of shade about all this activity around the stadium. And many of them feel like it's a lost cause, that there's a flim flam, and we're not going to get the big push up that we should. I told them, no, keep hope alive. But I'm going to stop there because there's a lot of things to talk about. We'll be back on that subject when the chairwoman gets here. But I didn't forget Austin is here. I know anyway, hey, Austin, how you, bro?
Good morning, Buffalo. As a matter of fact, what you were talking about, if you are one of those community members who was just saying, I have things to say, perspective to give, you can call in at 716-837-1112. I have a different start. I want to talk about innocence versus good.
Oh,
when you're young, you're innocent. You're not good. Good is in spite of the ability to do bad. But if you're not aware of the ability to do bad, then you're not really you're not doing good. You're just innocent. And if you're a Bills fan, you can't act privy or you can't act innocent to what's going on that allows these games that you enjoy to happen. I always I've been talking about for a couple weeks now, I've been talking about if you're not a Bills fan or Orchard Park resident or a contractor, how does it apply? Well, let's flip the other side. If you're a Bills fan, if you're talking about we had a good game yesterday, we did the best we could. If that's what you're talking about, that's what you have on your timeline. How do you only know half of what you enjoy and try to cover the rest? You got to look at it in its totality. And for this system that you enjoy, for this product that you enjoy, it requires some work to be done. And there's people that are fighting for that to be done equitably. And so if you really enjoy the Bills, if you really want to make sure this is what you can really enjoy, you're kind of enjoying something that you know is wrong until you're willing to at least have the conversation. I'm not saying you got to be an activist. You don't got to wake up tomorrow and want to march down the street. But can we talk about it? If you're in the ticket line and you see work being done, just be aware, because this is what you're supporting. And that's the difference between innocent and good. And I think that we're good people. Let's be good people fighting the good fight for a good cause, but we can't act innocent. And the question I asked last week that's relevant to this conversation before I kind of take my place is, how do you unite people for a cause? I said, callers, you tell me. It's been done before. We've made changes before. How do you unite people for a cause? And again, if you want to call in and answer that question, you can at 716-837-1112. We were just joined by Chairwoman Baskin, so I'm going to ask, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm well. Good morning. Good morning, friends.
You know what the chairwoman is actually doing around the stadium situation is that kind of work. You're actually seeing it play out. Uniting a community that is in different spots on this issue, and whether she meant to be or not, she the center pin. I mean, you know, everybody's looking at her. But before you came in, Chairwoman Baskin, yes, audience, she's here. I was kind of talking about the committee meeting discussion the other day.
Thank you.
And I was giving my view, which I was telling people maybe a little different, but I definitely felt not only was it one where two things I'll say. I was glad the committee was set. I'm not so high on all the members of it. That's just me from things I know. But also two reasons why. Because even when you went to the second half of the meeting for those from the stadium, everybody was invited to stay, and a lot of them left. And I'm thinking like that was an important moment for you to stay there and hear that. I'm just saying I'm not saying they were conscious that purposely leaving like that, but in a way, I'm dropping a note to y'all, the listener, that I think you should have stayed there and heard some information. That's my thought. But anyway, let me shut up and give the mic.
How about the good morning?
What?
I know.
I'll get into it.
But
I don't like your picks for the committee.
I chairwoman is doing it. Look, she's doing her thing, and y'all know when I'm when I'm saying something that it don't necessarily make me right. I just give the view, and I'm totally on board with the work that's being done. But I am putting a little flame under some folks that know what I know, that they know I know.
Oh.
And I want them to, I won't anyway.
That's a good thing.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Good.
And to Austin's question that may have been rhetorical, and to your point about people leaving and things like that, as much as I am pro finding spaces for Black residents to be able to unify, like the stories I heard, prior to even my existence on this earth about the BUILD organization and things that were done even in during the South during the Civil Rights Movement. I will say that it is the lack of being able, or the slow impact to being able to do that is a consequence of people who hold power and white privilege being able to make decisions without us in the room. And so we are constantly reacting and responding in an urgent way, so that things that have been decided on can actually benefit us. And once people make a decision about how something is going to go, it's very hard to be able to mobilize a community to all get on the same page, get educated about the topic, make sure that everybody's needs are met, and then proactively as a unit go and fight. By that time, all that they have worked out is halfway done. So this has been something that I've known to happen historically, but now it is my first experience. And that comes from with the community benefits agreement. Had COVID not been something that completely distracted Black leaders, specifically, no more so than all leaders, but the impacts of COVID was disproportionately affected communities of color who had pre-existing health conditions because of the social determinants of health. We weren't really in spaces or paying attention to anything other than keeping our constituency alive. I was fighting for Erie County to have an Office of Health Equity, clearly why others across the state were having conversations with Pagula Sports and Entertainment about a new stadium. So we're kind of always in a position of disadvantage because we are responding to decisions that have been made. And when you are in a position of having to respond, you have to respond urgently because trains have left the station. And then you want to go with a group of well-educated people from your community to have your back, but they're at a disadvantage because they also don't know what's going on.
Right.
What I found from the community benefits agreement and from this accountability task force for construction is that I had to spend at least a good year and a half going around and telling people in the community exactly what is happening, explaining the equation. There is not always time for it. And so everything is done urgently. Then sometimes you get pinned as being somebody that's moving in silos or only messing with people that you know, or you don't know this or that. But really, you just try and catch up to a train that left the station so that you get some outcomes. Do I wish that the negotiations for the community benefits agreement had more community organizations involved? Yes. But at the same time of trying to fight for a CBA, there was a lease deal that was being negotiated and a memorandum of understanding between the state, the county, and the Buffalo Bills that was on its way to the legislature. So then people say, well, vote it down. Okay, because that's so easy, right? Like just goodbye, Buffalo Bills. Or like, let's be rational. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is that going to serve us? How's that going to serve me and I serve you? If they mad at me about taking a no vote and the Bills is gone, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be rational right here. Let's figure out what we can do. How do we pause the train? How do we create more stops? How do we have points of communication with our local elders, community center leaders, pastors in the community to be able to have these think tanks and these sessions? Who's willing to stay up later and work harder and rearrange their schedule to get updated as to what's going on so we can all be on the same page and then collectively go fight for what we want. And in some ways that did happen with the community benefits agreement. And that's why we got one. Because if it was just me alone, it would not have happened.
Of course.
But because there were people in the community who I was able to call and be like, yo, moves is happening. They're talking about making a new stadium. And while most people is talking about the location of the stadium, I'm telling you right now, that has been decided on. And we got to figure out. Right. We got to figure out which fight we're going to fight and if we're going to get something. And there were people who understood that that's systemically how it happens in our community. And they supported me. And if it was not for the Black community in Buffalo and a lot of these lead grassroots activist organizations, we wouldn't have had a community benefits agreement. I'm just on the front line regurgitating lines. And that's what your local elected official, in my opinion, should do. They should be there to fight for the things that you want. But if you don't know what's happening and you don't know what to fight for. So I put myself in the position of being an educator. We have to educate, then we have to go agitate, then we organize. But we cannot organize without the education.
So can I ask a question? What are some of the constraints of that education? Because I'm a communication consultant. If you think about school, as long as you can remember, you've never had a speaking class, right? That's never been a thing. So me trying to push into schools is difficult. It's a lot of education on the benefits of communication and contrasting that to what you're talking about. I know that education piece is hard. What are some of those barriers that make it difficult? Why you have to spend a year and a half educating people versus not?
I don't think there's anything like it boils down to anything like within the intellectual realm. I personally come from the belief that Black people and the Black residents of Buffalo are the most talented, the most creative, the most, hardworking people of all creation. I may be biased, but that is what I believe. You know what I'm saying? And history teaches me that. So I will say it's the relationship building. It's truly having the connections to be able to reach the people. That's why I'm very, very big on trying to be a part of as many groups and show my face or have my office present at as many community organizations as possible. Because when stuff like this happens and you have to sound the alarm, and you realize yet again, those with power and privilege, as this country has been designed, have figured out a new system to benefit themselves and leave us with crumbs or less than crumbs, nothing sometimes. You have to be able to sound the alarm. And when you sound the alarm, if you don't have favor of the people, then who you calling to have your back? So I don't think there are any constraints when it comes to educating our community. I think people who are in my position have to prioritize healthy relationships. Positive relationships. Can't be beefing with everybody all the time. You got to learn how to let stuff roll off your back if you're called to leadership, because if you're here to serve the people, you have to be able to reach the people. So that may be a simple question, but it is of my belief that we could, I believe we got exactly what we were going to get, considering the tools and the resources that we had with the community benefits agreement. I believe we are going to exceed goals and see some very beautiful outcomes of local businesses being involved with the construction of the stadium. And I believe that is only because my office, my team, my staff takes the time to build healthy relationships with the Urban League, the NAACP, the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Greek organizations, community center executive directors, block clubs, whatever we can do, we're trying. Does everybody like April Baskin? No, that's not. I don't, and that's
yes,
okay.
They do.
That's
Look,
okay. But
all the answers I got, all the responses I got back. So last time you were here, folks were saying they with you. They don't want you to be left by yourself, and I agree. That's how I am, and I'm in total agreement with everything you said. And I should say my push is to the next layer down. See, the educating part you're doing is right on, and you'll continue to do that. Natural part of your job, and that's why I call you the center point there. But I'm saying everybody else that's in the huddle know it too, and have to help in that. And I'm not dismissing that they won't do it. I'm just sending an early message to them, like, hey, get on it, because not only watching and pushing to hold each other accountable. That's one of the things. We can't hold you accountable. Right. If we're gonna hold you accountable, we have to be there and be able to. And I'm saying that to them because I'm there. Look, even on this whole piece around the stadium, one of the reasons we're helping to bring it out, over these airwaves, we committed to do it. We're not on anybody's payroll. We're not getting paid. It's in the interest of the community, which, by the way, I said I was going to tell your boss. Get me on the committee. Y'all need a
They told me.
They need a communications folk on there.
They said Mr. Edison left his card.
Yes,
why he leave his card? I know his contact.
I know it. I would.
If you want to be on the committee.
I was like, I said, because I was thinking, I said, okay, there needs to be some communicating out with what they're doing, and I don't want them to leave it just to you. They're in the huddle, in the part of the work that they're doing. Right. I was a little. I don't think I was strong. I think I was doing what grandma would do and granddad would do in the day when they talk to you. Now, boy, I don't want you doing that no more. I know what you did. I want you to straighten out. I was doing some of that to some of them that know. They know that's like drum talk in the community.
Well, I have faith in all 11 of the community members. And I think, again, when you talk about time, we received a letter from the legislature was made aware of a letter written by the Office of EEO in the county and the Office of an ESD, Empire State Development, that went to Turner Gilbane Construction in the bills and said, you are woefully below the percentages of inclusion that you need to be. And that was back in July. And so because that letter came to us at July, right before the legislature went on recess, I went to all of my colleagues in the legislature and I said, look, we're going to be gone for a month. Two things need to happen. One, we need to impanel a community committee of people who know this stuff better than us, who know government contracting, bidding, who knows what it's like to have a big major construction firm come into town and be beholden to reach certain goals by state law, but sometimes know how to get through loopholes and not do it. Like, we need people who are experienced in the workforce. And so they all agreed. And I said, and we need an assessment. We need a survey to go out to the entire construction region that is certified by the state or the county and ask them, are they made aware of the opportunities with the Bill Stadium? And because I'm the chair, I was able to hustle that and move fast. So there is benefits to being in leadership. And I appreciate my colleagues for supporting the initiatives and my passion behind the Bill Stadium. They passed that resolution. EEO put out a survey over the summer. And then when we came back last week, we found that they were past the goals. The goals is 36%. They're almost at 40% inclusion. Now, we're not going to back off because we need details about that. Who are the local firms that make up that 40%? Are they from 716 or are they from California? Like, there are more questions to ask. But now we have a committee of folks who will be the lead communicator. The whole community is the committee.
That's right.
Everybody's the committee. The 11 legislators can't talk to all the residents in Erie County that have a vested interest in having entrepreneurial opportunities on the stadium. So we appoint 11 to be the key folks that we go to speak to. But trust and believe, the minutes and the notes that they give us will be made public. These will be public documents, and the public at large will have a place to comment to the committee. So I don't want anybody to feel that they're not on the committee because they're not one of 11 people that were listed on. These people aren't being paid, they're volunteers. You know what I'm saying? So they're just going to be the more formal people so that we can have clear conduits of communication. But everybody's invited to these discussions that the committee's going to have. The committee's going to have a clerk from my office. My new district director, Samir Spencer, is going to be the clerk. And so you'll be able to at all times have access to comment, ask questions, give information, and be included in this process of making sure Buffalo is included as business owners on the new state.
You hear that, Jim? Yes.
So you want it.
Yeah, I know it. I'm on it.
it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm clear on that. I know we're going to get, and I see, Chairwoman, I want to say April. I'm with y'all. I am so on it, and I'm look. I'm a shoulder behind what you're bringing and on this, and to everybody else on the team, I'm a shoulder there. I'm helping to lift a little push if you need a push, and I want to be pushed too. Because when people ask all the time over the mic, well, what are they hear the first part, then they want to know, well, what happened and who's that? And I want the mothers that could give a report, not to wait till they get in the big huddle, that they can sound out to the community. They're working both sides. Yes, they're working on the plan that has been crafted by the county, and that's our lead team up together. Mm-hmm. But they also have an obligation to say something in the community. Oh, that's right. We see something, say something. Yeah. And I like to add, do something. Yes. So that's all it is, brothers on that committee, and it's not just brothers on guys on the committee. There's a woman on there, mm-hmm. and
it's two women. It's Sydney Brown. She is secretary at the Buffalo Chamber of Commerce and does a lot of work with The Rock, Restore Our Community over in Hamlin Park.
Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth, her last name is escaping me right now. Names right now. Yeah, she is a WBE. So another thing is everybody that's on the committee was not just somebody that was, picked at the local 7-Eleven. They all have an experience within the space of construction completion and construction success. So you take a Stephen Tucker, even though Northland's focus right now, he's the CEO of Northland Workforce Training Center, is manufacturing. Prior to coming to Buffalo, his career was in construction workforce development. So he's there as a representative of workforce. The NAACP will send a representative. We asked the Urban League to send a representative, and Thomas Buford himself, CEO and president, said it'll be me. We have the Black Chamber of Commerce representative. Then we have someone from the community who is a service-disabled veteran-owned business. The Terhune family owns a generational family business of steel out in Grand Island. And so they will be representing suppliers that are service veterans. So he understands what it means to bid on a government contract as a a state certified service disabled veteran,
Mhm.
and what happens and how things get, kind of sometimes
Moved
moved
on up,
around,
and
or
you have to-
communication gets messed
right.
up. And so he's there to advocate for that piece. Then we have Elizabeth, who is a WBE. She is a state certified woman-owned business, and she knows what it's like to bid as a consultant. And last time I was here, we spoke about how consultants are consistently left out of this piece. The first task of this committee is to help Turner and Gilbane Construction find local consultants who understand the process of recruiting to help them finish this out. So this is almost like a group of advisors, and we've been working on this for a while and figuring out what is it going to look like when I formally present it to the county legislature. And it came together beautifully last week. I mean, it was really, really informative, and the pressure and the word going out and being on this show and everybody in the community working together, that sent a big message to Gilbane and Turner. I don't think they'd be close to 40%. You know what I'm saying? If we hadn't started drawing a lot of attention to this, and their goal, according to the state law, is 36%, 15% minority subcontractors, 15% women contractors, and 6% certified service disabled veteran owned subcontractors. They're exceeding that, and they're exceeding it mostly with minority goals. So again, we can't just walk away and say, great, that's awesome. We need some details on that. And so that's what this committee is here for.
Good.
And we have the support of the Bills. The Buffalo Bills wrote a letter saying that we're going to participate with this committee. Those representatives from the Bills were supposed to be in London this past week. You know what I'm saying? But they stayed behind to speak to their support and how they're willing to work. And I appreciate the Bills for that. Also, with the Level Up program, the Bills are investing over $30,000 into the restaurant arm of the Level Up initiative, and giving Black-owned restaurants an opportunity, those that are in the Level Up program, to go out and be represented while selling breakfast and lunch at the work site now, to start to build that healthy relationship with minority and Black-owned restaurant owners, so that when it comes time to talk about concessionaires or food trucks or tailgating experiences out at the new stadium, the relationship is already there. We don't want to be responding. We don't want a stadium to be built and then we say, well, what about the Black restaurants? We need to start that now. Yeah. So they get that. And this committee is about starting a dialogue now. Level Up program is about introducing businesses now. All of it is so that if the CBA is really going to work, and it's really, really going to reach the community, you can't just stop and say, we got the CBA. It's great that we got the CBA. It's historic that we got the CBA. But the truth of the matter is, our community has to be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that are in the CBA. And that's why all these little task force and programs are important today.
So go to work.
Yeah.
When the people have you at the restaurant, go to work.
Yeah.
If you don't go to work, they can't do the work.
This is huge now. And community, now you're hearing all that, and that I hope you're not, well, I know you're not sleeping on it, but understand, we got a charge to keep now. Mm-hmm. We got an action going on that's clearing the road, opening the road wider, and then we in the community need to be ready to participate. Yeah. So those that you know that, again, that do construction work, that are interested in any kind of job out at the stadium, you need to start paying attention to the calls that say, here's where you sign up and so forth. And I think I'll invite Turner Bain to come and talk across these mics. Maybe they might want to come with you.
You never know. This community task force is going to build a lot of bridges. And like I said, Austin, a lot of relationships. You can't get this kind of work done if you don't have healthy relationships. So I'm not here to be adversarial with the Bills or Gilbane or Turner or Legends or anybody. That doesn't serve myself. It doesn't serve the community. It doesn't serve the future of the stadium project benefiting us economically. I'm not afraid to be adversarial, but it doesn't seem like with this cast of characters, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any need to be. Right. Everybody is, they're coming to the table. Yeah. Gilbane was there. Turner was there. Yep. The Bills were there. a lot of everybody was there. The gallery was filled with, people who are certified as minority women and service disabled on veterans. People were shaking hands afterwards. We're going to get this done. It just takes an informed community in order to be able to do
I
it.
have to say that the representatives there were really, I was impressed with their presentation. Got a nice flick with them. We got a call. So caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yeah, blessed love, family, and respect to everybody there. My question is not related to the bill so much. My question is related to its impact on Erie County Community College and how the future looks for ECC City South and North, and how the stadium construction and completion impacts on ECC, Erie County Community College.
Oh, at this time, there has been one parcel of SUNY Erie's land that has been marked for utilization of the new stadium. And my colleagues in the legislature have pressed and asked in detail, does the new stadium impose an impact on SUNY Erie South? And at this time, we are consistently told the campus will be up and running. And like I said, right now I asked for how many students and faculty make up the body down there at SUNY Erie South. It's about 1,200 people daily. Classes run from the early morning, 8 a.m. in the morning till about 2. And then the campus is kind of cleared out. The cafeteria is not working right now, but like I said, through a partnership with the Level Up program and the Buffalo Bills, we're going to be reopening that up soon for a couple of weeks this fall with some Black restaurant owners to be able to build that healthy relationship in that community and stay connected. So at this time, to my knowledge, there is one parcel of land for the new stadium, and that there is, no intentions of the stadium imposing on SUNY Erie South Campus.
Thank you for the work you do. How about the future for Erie County Community Colleges? North will it continue as 3 campuses, basically? And I'm going to hang up and listen because you're talking about something different. So, but thank you for the work that you do. So.
Thank you. And I think I recognize this caller's voice, so I will follow up. Yes, but I will. I at this point there is no talk about consolidating the colleges at the legislature formally either.
Thank you, sis. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, Mr. Fields. Thank you.
A lot of work, a lot of different directions you go.
And a lot of things to think about. His questions were right on topic, in my opinion.
And that shows that with the kinds of things you're confronted with, you have to deal with. Yes, the stadium, which is a big situation, the colleges, the school, and even more things beyond that. I mean, your role is quite huge, which is why it's important that everybody that's on the committee, share and work together. The important part is working together. I mean, look, you already know, we know how the history of that go, but really, if we pull together now, look, the money is there. The ability and the skills in our community is there, but you can't go down a single track. You got to pull together. You got to keep your ears listening to what's up, what's going on, and you're going to hear reports. I mean, because everyone's paying attention. We're going to a break, and we'll come back, and we'll continue with Chairwoman Baskin, and keep listening. And you can call us 837-1112-716.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe
about
plaque
what's going to
psoriasis.
make them
Now
do
I'm
this
hitting the road with clearer skin
community
thanks to
organizing.
skyracing, risentism
And I do want to
a prescription
touch
only
on there is
150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
There is liquidated damages listed in the lease deal. And so the county executive and the governor and my colleagues in the legislature should be commended for that. So if they don't meet their 36% goal, they have to pay the money back. And I have the breakdown of those numbers. Yeah, on a $1.5 billion project, they would need to spend $540 million with MWBEs and service disabled veteran-owned companies. And if they were to only spend $200 million, they would owe the state $340. So it's based off of so they have to pay it back. So everyone's thinking that, this is like this community feel good thing. Like, no,
that's
they're
real.
legally, they're legally tied to liquidated damages, and that's in the lease deal that the legislature passed.
That's sweet. Yeah.
And I just want to say, and I'll say it on the air too, because I appreciate, you hearing what I had asked about that. And I also like that on the committee, I don't know who all the members are. I had a meeting, I couldn't come. I was so mad about it, but no, that's okay. But the names
I
that
put
you
it
did,
on that.
but the names that you did, the names that you did share that I am very familiar with. I like that you have people who've gone through the process.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to have a name, and somebody said this.
Thank you.
But it's another thing that
People that have been in that water.
been there, and also
Here they go.
our community focus too. They're not people that
We are back on the air, so I didn't mean to cut my mom off.
I would say my one word that I said I wasn't saying. I just want to say on air, I appreciate being heard, because so often people come and sit in your chair and I'll ask a question and it'll be a defense and then they don't come back with an answer. So I was just sharing off air on live is that I appreciate that, and I appreciate the committee members that you've named, because I am familiar with them. And not only have they gone through the process, but Jim, to address your concern, they are people that do want to help you. However, they're not going to do a handout. It's a help you. And so I think what I appreciate about you now, I have a new honor of respect for you, is that I do see you at everything. And even if you have to bring a kid, because you got to do what you got to do, right, as a mom. But I'm just saying that I think that even to those points, if we get these opportunities, let's not try to be leaders. Let's go to the people who have the businesses large enough and work for them. Because that's what other cultures do. Yeah. Go to work. Because if you can't help them with the breakfast, they're not going to get a piece when the stadium opens, because we didn't show up and go to work.
That's been the biggest point of conflict with getting the restaurant pilot. It's only going to run for 8 weeks, and we're still ironing it out. When it's all set and ready to go, I will definitely come back on the show and we'll celebrate the success. But the restaurants, it's called Diversity Mondays, right? And then, so we're going to send about 8 Black-owned restaurants out to the stadium and just do a trial run of what it's like them serving out in Orchard Park, what it takes for them to come from the east side out there, and the commitment. And so it works out because most of the restaurants are closed on Mondays. And like I said, I'll come back with more details later, but the restaurants just don't have the staff, the capacity. And so part of what, we have these, meetings every other day about organizing this initiative through Level Up. And really, it has been difficult because they have a hard time with the workforce. I'll just say really quickly who the members of the committee is. It's Richard A. Cummings, Larry Stitz, Elizabeth Bailey, Reverend Mark Blue, Tony Roman, Sydney Brown, Stephen Tucker, Frank Daniel, Pat Freeman, Richard C. Cummings, and also Thomas Buford.
Yeah.
And we do have a caller. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is Mother Doyle.
Hey, Dr. Doyle.
Yes, good morning, Chairwoman Baskin.
Good morning, Mother Doyle.
Yes, I just wanted to thank our wonderful chairwoman for the work that she is doing. And I just want to, as a mother in the community, I want her to, and to encourage her in between all of this tremendous work, get some rest.
Amen.
That's very important. Take a break. And I know you do every now and then. And I'm going to quote Brother Kamal, who called in, and he always says, working together works.
Amen.
That's a wonderful message.
Amen.
So you keep up the good work, Chairwoman April Baskin, and I will continue to keep you in my prayers. I just wanted to say that. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Mother Dr. Doyle, for allowing me your shoulders to stand on. A lot of this work the ground has been laid. The road is tough, but it's not as tough as it could be. And it's because of people like Mother Doyle, who were never afraid to talk about these issues on air to children. So I always commend the elders in the community for giving me a platform. One thing, Mr. Anderson, that got a text message about was are there any legal ramifications to Gilbane and Turner not doing this? So right now we've put a lot of community pieces in spaces to support them, but still, what if they don't? And that's a good question. And the answer is there are. Kudos to County Executive Polling Cars, Governor Kathy Hochul, and my colleagues at the county legislature for negotiating liquidated damages into the Buffalo Bills lease deal agreement. So that means that if they cannot prove that a good faith effort has been made to include minorities, women, and service-disabled veterans as subcontractors on this project, they will have to pay back a portion of what it is that they took of public dollars back to the state of New York. So on a $1.5 billion project, they would need to spend $540 million with MWBEs and service-disabled veteran-owned companies. If they were to only spend $200 million, they would owe the state $340 million. So that was a part of the lease deal that the county legislature approved. Like I said, kudos to the leaders in government who negotiated that. It really does not benefit anyone, but especially the people who are thinking solely about business. It does not benefit them to go this deep into the project and not meet that 30% goal, 36% goal, excuse me. And at this point, it was reported in front of the media last week at the county legislature that they are nearing 40% of the 36%. So we just want the committee to do some digging and get some details on who makes up that almost 40%.
I'm totally on board with that. You heard it. I'm on a committee.
You on a committee?
We're gonna be doing some digging to find out what that 40%. And I agree. Kudos to them for being at that level. And as you pointed out, now needing to break down on where they come from to ensure that it's done in a good way. And again, community, hear clearly now. You really have to get yourself together if you think you're employable in any kind of way on this. And even if you think you have a business, you just heard about the restaurant. Now, I know some people think they got restaurants, but then they don't have their credentials to where, you could be lifted to another level. And I'm saying, so get your house in order. If you're a business, do what a business has to do. Yes, you got to register, get your paperwork, and be,
and we have a lot of beautiful programs. Level Up is just a conglomerate of all of the wide ecosystem of business sustainability agencies that exist in Buffalo. We just want to be the county's one-stop shop to give somebody that calls in the clear information on what sustainability agency they should go to. But Buffalo and Erie County has a plethora of programs that help people with capital, help people with back office support, help people with paperwork, help people with certifications. And I commend all of them for being a part of the Level Up program, which will just kind of act as a county nucleus for residents that come from marginalized backgrounds that are business owners to find out the information. But you definitely should stay close to my social media as we talk more about the Level Up program and all the partners that are affiliated with Level Up. And also, I think a good point to make is that of the $1.5 billion, we learned in the committee discussion last week, Mr. Anderson, that only $1.2 billion is set for actual constructing the stadium. That means Turner and Gilbane construction is only accountable for 1.2 billion of the 1.5. And we pointed out that still leaves in excess of $300 million that are not affiliated with the constructing the stadium that is invested into the stadium. So where does that $300 million go? So we started to talk about things like snow removal, security, food, all sorts of commodities, seats, screens, all these other things that have to go into a stadium outside of the nails and the hammer and the wood and the, site work to develop it. But there are going to be other things purchased. That $300 million should have a plan to be spent in Buffalo, and the committee will prioritize making that plan.
So, yeah, more money. We got a call. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, not trying to take away from what you're talking about, but the chairwoman is very motivational to other people. Me, I'm a commissioner. And what she's doing, I'm trying to implement the things that she's doing where I'm at. So I just want her to know the history books should record this, that not only is what she's doing, she's also a motivator for other people. She's not even probably realizing that she is.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you for that testimony.
That's very encouraging. Wow. Thank you.
That's what we got to do. And that's why we have to ensure that we do a team effort in supporting her in the work that she's doing. I mean, she's a superwoman, but she's not Superwoman from the cartoons and all of that, and I'm just saying, really, let's be honest. At the level, talking about leveling up, on behalf of the community, we have someone who's moved into a key position that is very conscious of what they need to do and what the needs are for the community. And I think we cannot back away from supporting and also getting in line, being part of lifting to bring that vision into reality. I mean, the layers, the pieces are being put in place right now. I mean, they're quite visible. You know how they talk about having a system online? Well, look, the line is lining up and is working, and it soon will be at a full capacity at some point. And we need to be sure that we do our part. Yes. And that, so, listen, the early part of all the discussion that you hear going on is there's no hate. There's that bumping and that pulling, just which way determining. But look, the plan that's been presented, I can support. The need now is for us to be accountable. Those that say they want to work, I don't want to hear people saying, I'm a contractor and nobody got nothing for me. Here's a line for me, you can get in it. And not only that, even if you're not, there's support for us to do in supporting the plan and ensuring that it reaches its goal. Don't give up. I believe.
I know you had talked about earlier, I know it's a quick question before we go. You talked about how the real committee is all of us, the people, the community that we're a part of. And so I know in business, you plan for success and prepare for failure, but we're going to talk about success, obviously. As we get these advances and these updates, getting closer to what we want and an equitable chance to really have a partner and be a part of this project, how are we communicating the updates that we're having, the new developments, the advancements to regular people? Is it the radio, or are there other methods and streams that we're using to communicate this message and keep everybody up to date so we can best support you in what you're trying to do?
I love that question. I think at first listen, I think the response is to use the communication platforms that are already set in place that the Black community rely on. So we'll definitely be submitting bi-weekly write-ups to the Criterion and to the Challenger about the progress of updates. I'm going to make it a point to make sure that one of the members, is able to come on this show or other shows that are on WUFO to give updates, because we have wonderful shows on WUFO that allow for the community to be educated. Outside of that, I spoke to the Black Chamber of Commerce actually last weekend about possibly doing a community tour about the community benefits agreement, because a lot of people understand that we have one, but a lot of people don't know the details of it, and the legalese needs to be translated for the community at large so that they can hold the committee that makes the decisions with the bills on how this $3 million a year for 30 years is going to be spent, that they really understand, and so that they can push to get what they want. So I'm working with my office to talk to some community organizations and leaders about possibly setting up like a CBA educational tour where me and my colleagues in the legislature can go around to churches, to community centers, to schools, to block clubs, and just say, okay, step one, what is a CBA and what is it that we have and why is it a beautiful thing? And what does that mean for you and your organization? Outside of that, Austin, I think people who are a generation behind me, like yourself, they understand utilizing social media and visuals and creative storytelling in a different way than I have been raised to understand. So I would push and advocate for the committee to have a portion of their meetings dedicated to the public at large, and allowing people like yourself to come in and pose ways that they can effectively communicate. We are nothing if the youth are not involved in this.
There you go.
Like there is no future. So utilizing people like yourself to pose additional ways for us to have healthy communication, especially with the younger generation, is important. And I hope that you'll lead that initiative or be a part of leading it.
I might be on the committee too.
You're on the committee.
Indeed. That's so.
Someone on Facebook, James Payne says the legislator chairwoman should have a radio show on WUFO detailing the success of this effort. Yeah. I'm just saying what the person said as a comment.
Okay.
It is. The mic is definitely always open to you, and would love to be a contact for having those report outs. And I love this is our moment. And I think, community, let's pull together on this.
Yes.
We can do this. This is not a pipe dream. This is a reality moment. The money is on the table, as someone would love to say. And we're here. And if you're ready for the change, let's be about the change we say we're ready for it. And look, Chairwoman Baskin, look, just as everybody else has praised you for the work you're doing, I know what it's like in what you're dealing with. And look, due speed in accomplishing all that you want, and a long presence for as long as you want in doing the work that you want to do. And I have no problem with saying I support the work that you're doing, and I know that there are others, and I know folks get behind the plan. We got a plan. See, we're not talking about trying to figure out, well, what we're going to do. We have a plan. We have pulled together a team. And you're all on it.
You don't have to, look. More updates on that soon when the community has, when they figure out when their meetings are going to be and the location and all that.
Awesome.
I'll come back and report out. But I just want to close and say thank you to the community. People consistently thank me for my leadership, but I tell you, I can't do what it is that I do without the people telling me what they want and then standing with me, educating me. Is not possible. So I'm very, very grateful to the community at large for this opportunity and for believing in my leadership.
All right. Well, thank you, Buffalo. We're going off the air. Last week I gave an ask. I said, how do we unite people? This week, my ask is just have a conversation. Let's have an uncomfortable conversation about what's going on behind the scenes for the team we support, and let's rally together to make a change. Thank you, Buffalo. Hope you tune in next week and have a good one. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.